Welcome to episode 333 of the Postal Hub podcast. I'm Ian Kerr. In a moment, I'm joined by Titus Bütler. Titus is the head of transport at Swiss Post, and he's going to explain how and why Swiss Post is moving more parcels by rail. Joining me on the line is Titus Bütler. Titus is a head of transport at Swiss Post. Titus, welcome to the Postal Hub podcast. I'm looking forward to this discussion, talking about moving, mail volumes, parcel volumes from road transport for rail. Why don't you set the scene for us? Why is Swiss Post shifting parcel volumes from road transport to rail?
So we have always transported parcels by rail. But the increasing demands of customers to post parcels later and later, and the increase of postbox priorities, so the fast parcels, led to a steady shift to road transport. Because the road is often faster and always more flexible. But nevertheless, now only 50% of all letters and parcels handled by Swiss Post currently travel at least some of their distance by rail. Due to the environmental benefits of rail transports, we want to expand this amount of transports by rail. We think there are many reasons, not only the environmental benefits. The rail can be as fast as the lorries, and if the timetables are right and punctual, that's very fast and energy efficient. Much more energy efficient than, for example, an electric lorry. And we have already the necessary infrastructure at the parcel centers with transshipment terminals, cranes, shunting areas, and all these things. And for this reason, we think and we are absolutely sure that's more ecological and even more economical to transport more by rail. This program, this rail offensive, has several types of things. Faster trains, more trains, better timetables, acceleration of our own shunting services, and we tested a lot of new ideas. For example, the hybrid locomotives can go into the terminals without the overhead wires. And we did a test with the Swiss Railway with a push and pull composition with hybrid locomotives too. This was a good test, too expensive, but it was very good for testing new ideas. And so on, we made a clear commitment to the SBB, the National Railway, that we want to transport more by rail. But we said to them that we need more and faster trains. This also required certain rethink of the railways, because they think the good trains are good if they are long, at least 500 meters, that's long for Switzerland, but our trains are short, but fast. So they have to rethink their transport business for the postal department.
Tell us about the kinds of shipments that you're moving by train as well. Are you moving just parcels by rail, or are letters being moved by rail as well?
Yeah, we move parcels by rail. This is especially made in containers, swap body, this system. But the new letter centers built after the millennium, they have a rail connection too. So the backbone of the mail transport is made by rail. We have 55 special wagons with sliding doors and 20 special wagons for really high-speed trains. High-speed, the wagons are able to travel to 160 kilometers per hour. Nevertheless, Swiss Railway has no locomotives for 160 kilometers per hour, but they travel with 140 kilometers per hour. So they're quite fast, good trains.
And I imagine then that trains that are able to travel at 140 kilometres an hour are potentially moving faster then, going back to what you said earlier, potentially moving faster than a lorry or a truck would between those centres.
Yeah.
Is that right?
That's right, yeah.
Yeah. And because there's also the speed limits. There are speed limits in Switzerland. It's not like you're driving on some other roads where there are no speed limits. And the fines, the fines for exceeding the speed limit in Switzerland are steep. Anyway, let's not dwell on that too much. Titus, can you just elaborate a little bit? You mentioned that the rail network, your logistics centres, or many of your logistics centres, are already integrated with the rail network. And so you have the lifting equipment and the cranes and everything to move those containers straight onto the trains. So does that make up most of your network, or is it just a portion of your network that's able to do this?
Yeah, it's a portion of the network. The big parcel sorting centers have their own terminal with cranes and shunting area and all these things. These are the centers of Dijon, Herkingen, and Frauenfeld. And some of the others are connected by lorry. But we have even centers without terminal, but operated by rail. So we use terminals operated, for example, by the railway. So we have only a short shuttle service to do between the terminal and our sorting center.
So you'd be putting the mail, the parcels, the letters or whatever on the back of a truck. The truck goes to the rail terminal and then it's transferred onto rail. You mentioned about the Swiss Post's not needing a 500-metre long train. You need it's about speed. So are those trains, when you are shifting mail, letters and parcels by rail, are they dedicated trains, or is it part of another cargo or freight train, or is it integrated with a passenger train?
No, they are really dedicated postal trains. There are some only for mails, some only for parcels, and some mixed, so parcels and mail service together.
Is network congestion an issue for Swiss Post when it comes to moving mail by rail? We hear about in other countries that there can be congestion issues with problems between who should get priority, passenger trains or freight trains and things like that. What's your experience? Is rail congestion an issue in Switzerland?
Yeah, the Swiss railway network is extremely congested. We have a half-hourly service for all kind of passenger trains. So there are some lines with double tracks with more than 700 trains per day, and most of them there are passenger trains. There are also clear legal priorities. First, the national fast trains, commuter trains, and only then the normal passenger trains and the good trains, and we are some of these good trains. But it's possible to operate in Switzerland with fast good trains too. At least one good trains per hour is possible on each line. So it's okay. It could be better, but for us it's okay.
Do you find that you're often moving goods by rail at night to try and maximise the efficiencies of rail? Is that, or you just have to move it whenever you need to move it, whether it's day or night?
Yeah, most of the trains are operated in the evening, in the night, or in the early morning. But there are some trains during the day too. But most of them during the night times. So the customer deposits its parcel in the evening and deliveries next day. So we have to transport during the night.
One of the first comments you made when you were talking about moving parcels by road, basically, instead of rail, was that there's a customer demand for speed. We still read that customers want speed. So how is Swiss Post complying with this, I suppose? Is Swiss Post able to meet its commitments for speed of delivery while using rail?
Yes, it's possible. In fact, the Swiss Confederation stipulates that Swiss Post must meet the target of 97% of letters and 95% of parcels delivered on time. So that's the goal, and we achieved it. So you see, using the rail has no negative impact on punctuality whatsoever. Also, it's possible. It's a steady discussion with the railway, but they do really a very good job. And we transport even on narrow gauge railways parcels. For example, the parcel to Davos or St. Moritz are traveling by the Rhaetian Railway.
we're talking about the famous Bernina train here. Well, that rail route, aren't we? The trains
exactly.
that wind up through the Swiss Alps. It's a beautiful way for parcels to travel.
Yeah. Unfortunately, there are no windows in the swap bodies, so the parcel can't see anything.
Now, Titus, we've been talking about the practical aspects of moving parcels by rail. Just before we wrap up, can you comment on the environmental aspect of moving parcels by rail? How does this fit into Swiss? Because we read all about Swiss Post delivering using electric vehicles. There was an announcement just recently that Swiss Post is delivering, I think it's in Geneva, 100% electric in the last mile. So can you tell us how the shifting parcels or shifting mail by rail fits in with Swiss Post's sustainability strategy?
Yes, that's an important part of this strategy, really. So it's some is the delivering by electricity in all Switzerland. So we started in the big cities. So, for example, Zurich or Bern or Basel and Geneva are delivered by electricity. And we have the biggest fleet of electric-driven vehicles in Switzerland. And the transport we do by trucks, we have by lorries. We have more than 300 companies working for us. And at the moment, there are more than 20 electric-driven lorries, some of them with a range up to 550 kilometers with one charge, and some with 300 kilometers with one charge. That's enough for Switzerland. We don't need more. And the numbers of electric-driven lorries is increasing week by week. So it's for us, it's really important to transport and deliver the mail and parcels with electric-driven vehicles or by train.
And it even feels these days like our customers expect this. That they expect us in the delivery world, in the postal world, to be as sustainable as possible, to reduce emissions wherever possible. So it's great. I mean, I think Swiss Post is probably a leader in this in terms of electrification of the fleet and looking at alternative means to move things around, which is what we do in the postal sector, isn't it? We move things.
Yeah.
So
that's it.
So there we have it, everybody. A fascinating look into how Swiss Post is moving parcels by rail, or moving more by rail and less by trucks between its major logistics centres there in Switzerland. Titus Bütler, Head of Transport at Swiss Post, thank you very much for joining us on the Postal Hub podcast today.
Thank you.
That's all for this episode of the Postal Hub podcast. Please do subscribe to the podcast in your favourite podcast platform, be it Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, or one of the many other platforms that are out there. Please do also subscribe to the Postal, get in a second everybody, Postal Hub podcast email newsletter. Go to thepostalhub.com and follow the links and you'll be able to sign up for my weekly newsletter, which comes out with each new episode. I even have the Daily Delivery Digest, if that's your kind of thing, which is a daily email with all the headlines from around the delivery world. I'm also doing this thing at the moment called the Post Office Digest, which is a monthly email for us post office people. So it's talking about the retail side of the postal world. Anyway, subscribe to all those things, and while you're at it, if you want to get more involved in the Postal Hub thing, you can follow the Postal Hub on LinkedIn. Just go to the LinkedIn. Go to the LinkedIn. That makes me sound like your aging aunt who's just discovered the Facebook. Anyway, enough about this. Let's just wrap this up right now, shall we? Remember, if you want to email me, my email address is ian@thepostalhub.com. I'm Ian Kerr. Thanks for listening in, and I look forward to your company next time on the Postal Hub podcast.